Also preface, I never finished Security Breach, so pardon me if I get some things wrong, but for the most part, I'm going to be summarizing the post. It just is, the Security Breach that was released is far more story-based than it is gameplay, and the version that was originally planned out had a ton more gameplay features, including 6-hour nights that were just cut out for one reason or another. In the gameplay trailer, you could see, when looking at the Baz watch, that it would actually keep track of the time like it would in other FNAF games. This doesn't seem to be seen anywhere else due to the version we have now being almost entirely scripted. Another remnant of these 6-hour nights were some of the voice lines that would play over the intercom, specifically there being a couple referring to, say, 15 minutes to the hour, followed by an announcement, I guess, to the animatronics to return back to their recharge terminal. To back this up, there's an instructional card which states that you can only recharge Freddy at the end of the hour, which just straight up isn't true. There's also an unused Vanny meter that was meant to be in the game, which would increase upon idling as a way to stop people from just sitting around waiting for the night to be over. If the meter filled all the way up, Vanessa, who would be controlling the map, would run over to a large bathroom to which she would become Vanny. If you've ever gotten this place from dying at 6 a.m., that is also a leftover asset from this cut. At the end of each night, you would be given 3 different plans to choose from to continue on. I'll have both plan A and C on the screen right now, but for whatever reason, there was never a breakdown on plan B. But it had something to do with the level dog. The idea behind this was to give the player free will to play the game however they wanted, and to choose whichever path they felt like going down. There's a lot more to this, and as I said, it's an insanely detailed post, and I just barely scratched the surface. They go over things such as map changes, the animatronics pathfinding, and the reasoning behind why this version of Security Breach was just physically impossible. So I'd recommend checking it out. I'm not even a fan of Security Breach, but this post was really interesting nonetheless. I'm sure everyone knows about this, so I'm gonna try and make it quick without skipping over anything. FNAF AR was an augmented Pokemon Go type game, except I don't really think you had to go anywhere for it. You could catch animatronics, collect remnants, there's skins too. I'm gonna be honest, I forgot what the f*** you do in this game. It was initially met with a decent amount of praise upon release, aside from some criticisms of lack of lore, bugs, and microtransactions. People didn't seem to love nor hate the game. But as time went on, Illumix, the company behind it, began changing. They began prioritizing cosmetics over gameplay, adding more and more reskinned animatronics instead of the ones that had been promising since release. One day in December of 2021, they would release their last new character, and for the next 2 entire years, every update would just be a few characters becoming available again for a limited amount of time. Maybe some bug fixes if you're lucky, and that's about it. Until February 2024, when they announced the game would be shutting down. Before shutting it down the next day. I wonder why they were in such a rush to shut it down. This one kind of falls in a gray area of lost media. There are archives of different versions of the game, as well as fully playable builds on Game Jolt, but technically FNAF AR is lost media. Though this one isn't as new, I thought I might as well put it on here because it's official and a short entry. In October of 2016, FNAF Sister Lineage was publicly released as version 1.01, therefore making version 1 completely lost. The number change was very insignificant and not even Scott seemed to notice, so I'd imagine there wasn't a whole lot changed. Now this is where it starts to get interesting. As we get deeper, you're going to notice less and less official media entries, and that's because I didn't want to just cram a bunch of lost versions or teasers that are basically just the same thing that could have been. I only want the best for y'all, so if that's not a reason to subscribe, I don't know what is. Alright, let's keep going. Running in the 80s was a FNAF fan game that released in August of 2012, focused around Fredbear's Family Diner. The game isn't too special. Don't get me wrong, from what I've seen, it is incredibly well made. It has some similar mechanics like the doors from the first game and audio learning from the third game, but the gameplay or story isn't what I'm looking at right now. The game was pretty popular. Channels like 8-Bit Gaming, Doggo, and even MatPat playing upon release definitely helped boost it quite a bit. There's only one teeny tiny little issue. The game was a virus, specifically an adware Trojan, which, if you're not familiar, a Trojan virus is just any malware disguised as a legitimate software. And adware is any malware that is designed to install itself on your computer and will show ads and pop-ups which can immensely slow down your system. It can also infect existing files on your computer, which make it a real pain to get rid of, and sometimes requires you to completely reinstall your operating system. According to a thread on Reddit, it wasn't intentionally put into the game. The developer must have had some virus on his system which infected the game files before they published it. For that reason, the game was removed from the system, and not too long after, a re-upload of it, assumedly without the malware, was posted by another user, to which that would also get removed from Game GameJolt for unknown reasons. There is a version of the game without the virus up on GameJolt. I guess you could technically say the version with the virus is lost media, but shut up, because I'm sure no one wants to play a game with malware in it.
Sign will be your best friend these days.
You can hear so many things from your opponents, they can't say anything from you.
Media, but shut up, because I'm sure no one wants to play a game with malware in it. Before the release of Five Nights at Freddy's, Scott Cawthon organized a Kickstarter to raise money for the development of the game. This included different incentives to donate, such as wallpapers, an early access version of the game, and the ability to become a beta tester for the game. When researching this entry, I found something out that I haven't really heard anyone talk about. If you click on the creator of the Kickstarter, Scott, you can see his Kickstarter account was created back in June of 2014. But if you look at the game's fundraiser, it was canceled June 17th, meaning at most, the fundraiser was up for 2 weeks as opposed to the month that it was planned. Just kidding, it was up for 3 days. For less than 72 hours was funding for this game available. I don't know why no one has talked about this before. I found a grand total of 2 Reddit comments mentioning this, while I've heard countless videos reference this as some sort of struggle Scott needed to overcome. But it seemed like he didn't actually need it, as the game would launch less than 2 months later. Yapping aside, the wallpaper pack was an incentive for donating, which you would receive for donating $10 or more to the fundraiser. I know a lot of people see this as lost media, but I have it gray for a reason, and the Yap session I had a moment ago is why. It just doesn't make sense to me that Scott would put all that effort into some wallpapers for a Kickstarter, only to abandon it within 3 days. The reason for the Kickstarter was to pay for the cost of living while he developed the game so he could work on it full time. Considering he worked on these games alone, I don't think there was much money he needed to spend on development. I've heard a lot of people refer to the wallpapers as lost media, but I personally have a hard time believing they were even made in the first place. FNAF World Mobile was made available on Android devices on January 12, 2017, and subsequently removed from the App Store the following day with seemingly absolutely no statement by Scott whatsoever. Though the countless bugs and interesting development choices can give us an idea of what happened. There wasn't a whole lot changed about the game when porting it over to mobile, but the changes that were made were some pretty interesting ones, namely the dialogue you get from Fredbear. Instead of normal dialogue like he has in the PC version, he greets you by saying, "Welcome back to FNAF World," the game that almost single-handedly destroyed the FNAF franchise, which, when compared to the original game's dialogue, is nothing like it. The craziest part is, this keeps on going. The entire main objective is to use a chopstick given to you by Fredbear to beat that fool upside the head. Even Fredbear has some insane dialogue with some real bangers like, "So one time, I mailed myself in a box to my grandmother looking like this. I jumped out and was like, yeah, Rick." There are many other differences like bugs with animations, some scenes being changed, others completely removed. There's so much to talk about, and I don't want to just paraphrase the whole thing, so go check out the Dapper Waffles video on the FNAF Bubble Board. Aside from the information, this video was just really entertaining, so go check it out. It turns out that this whole game was supposed to be a troll, with Scott even referencing the people who were begging him to make one in his announcement, as well as even stating that the game would be taken down in a few hours after it was released, and to go get it while you can. Though in the same post he mentioned that he would take his time to make it compatible for other devices, which obviously never happened. There are ports of FNAF World online that are relatively easy to find, as long as you know how to read and aren't just randomly clicking links. Obviously, that means it's been found. The story behind it, though, is insane. Five Nights is the name of a deleted video on Scott Cawthon's official YouTube channel, which was discovered due to Wayback Machine archives of Scott's Google Plus account. On this Google Plus account, 3 different private videos were discovered. One titled Five Nights at Freddy's, which is the same name as the official trailer that is to be posted. Another titled Five Nights at Freddy's Gameplay, which, again, is the title of another video that is still posted on Scott's account. The final video, and the one that spawned a ton of speculation, was titled Five Nights. The video was speculated to either be a lost early version of the FNAF that we have now, or another early gameplay video like the one that's posted to Scott's channel now. The official trailer was released, and it has to be the same. But considering Sal was able to make a second game on top of a trailer for it and teasers in literally 2 months, I think it was possible that some changes were made to the trailer before the upload. Though we have no idea what these changes could have been. To this day, nobody has any idea what the video is or if it is any different to the ones that are uploaded to Scott's page today. A quick update, I know this entry is already pretty long, but we're looking through videos for other entries. I found a comment made by Wally, someone explaining that there was actually in the trailer one that isn't the same as the one we have now, but as I suspected, there wasn't a lot changed. The only change that was mentioned, same as the comment, was the eyes from the endoskeleton once Barney takes off his mask. The eyes were said to be normal eyes like the ones seen in the teaser image instead of the red dots that are in the trailer now. Also known as just Stingray with some Arabic text at the end. This was supposedly a free version of FNAF 2 that was available on Android devices on the website Aptoide. The reason this is so popular is because in the recent years of the FNAF community, FNAF ransomware has become a trope for fan media, and this one was supposedly made all the way back in 2014 when the games had just begun coming out. There are tons of myths and misinformation about this game, such as an eyeless withered Chica jump scare, and it playing a voice from your speaker telling you that you've been hacked. And I'm sorry, but if you're over the age of 14, you'd know that this definitely isn't the case. At least none of this has ever been confirmed. I'm personally not going to download FNAF myself, but it's more than likely just to be malware disguised as FNAF 2. Someone actually found the original download and uploaded it to VirusTotal, which revealed exactly what it would have done to your device, which was lock the screen and apparently uninstall the device. So yeah, I've seen people online say they had downloaded it and it completely destroyed their device or wiped all of their files, so I don't doubt that at all, though the stories of creepy shit happening are most likely fake. FNAF Plus was a now cancelled officially licensed remake of the original FNAF game, being made by the developer Fiznom as a part of the Fazbear Fanverse initiative. I'm sure you all know what that is, so I'm not going to go too in-depth into it. It's basically just a partnership between Scott Cawthon and a bunch of different fan game creators, basically to fund and officially distribute their games along with providing merchandise opportunities. You know where I'm going with this. He had many criticisms of the game, which, to be fair, is more than fine, but the issue people had with this was the seemingly unnecessary harshness and complaints towards the game, while at the same time being a part of the previously mentioned Fanverse initiative. After the stream, Phil would tweet out, well, that was boring, and under the tweet, people would also give their opinions on both the ruined DLC and the stream that he had done. One particular tweet started the downfall of both Fiznom and FNAF Plus as a whole. A user jokingly replied, "Can we tweet this after FNAF Plus comes out? It's only fair." To which a select few delusional fans would go out and send death threats and even gore videos to this person. After learning of this, instead of making a serious statement, Phil would post several tweets saying to send him death threats and gore instead, along with a quote-unquote apology dog that instead linked to a FNAF Rickroll. Later, the user who was being sent these awful things would try and reach out to Phil with seemingly no response. He would then make a tweet about it which Phil would actually see, though all he did was apparently like the tweet and block the account right after. Since then, the only serious statement made was one that reads, "Jokes aside, sending people gore and death threats is completely unexcusable behavior, and I don't support this at all. I don't consider anyone that would do this to be a fan of me." Not long after, on August 3rd, Fiznom would be removed from the credits of FNAF Plus' Steam page, pretty much marking the end of both the game and his position in the Fanverse initiative. Though it's still unknown if Phil backed himself or if he was removed by Scott, though it seems more reasonable to believe that he did on his own will. Following all of that, and Phil's departure from the FNAF community as a whole, the FNAF Plus VHS tapes that were used as teasers for the game were all removed from YouTube. Obviously, because of all the hype surrounding the games, these videos weren't lost for long and were uploaded back onto YouTube not long after. The only reason I have the VHS tapes as well as media of the game as well is because the game never actually had public release. No alpha, beta versions, no demos, so I don't count them. so I tried to include as many relevant details as I could without dragging it on longer than it should, because I know a ton of people already know about the situation. If you don't know, Sparky the dog was a rumored 6th animatronic to be in the original FNAF game. It is often credited as the first FNAF hoax. The rumor of this 6th animatronic blew up due to the mysterious nature of the game back then, back when no one knew what was going on. The very convincing Photoshop showing what Sparky the dog looked like was sure to fool most people in the FNAF community back then. Since the beginning of FNAF all the way until now, Sparky is still a pretty prevalent character whether or not it's official. Though I'd like to mention that a dog animatronic suit was seen in the FNAF movie, so you never know. But what I want to talk about is the very, very first mention of Sparky, all the way back in 2014, all the way back to the first ever post mentioning Sparky the dog on the very magical website known as Tumblr. Not much seems to be known about the original post. Some things that I think are pretty interesting is that the image was made a decent bit after the hoax was created, and back in 2020, the creator of the original hoax made a post on Reddit to answer a bunch of questions about it. Unfortunately, it didn't reveal a whole lot about the original post. The only thing I know from digging around is that it had to have been made in mid to late August, because the first post I saw to talk about it was posted in September 5th of 2014 by the creator of the hoax telling everyone that it was fake. That early post about Sparky detailed how in-depth this hoax was. Before the infamous Sparky image in the parts and service room, the original creator of the hoax had made up rumors that the screen would turn black if you tried to screenshot it. There was a post about how to summon Sparky. There were actually 3. Must have been some COD Zombies-ass code to summon him. And a post about his game mechanic that was said to have been clever and included Spark shooting from his assumed to be broken arm at the time. Aside from that, I haven't found any other hints to what these posts could have been. No videos, no archives, nothing. That leaves this completely lost, but if you have any leads, I would be more than happy to hear about them in the comments, because this is one I personally find pretty interesting. Bonzi Honey was a Source filmmaker web series back in the day by Nixon. I'm sure some of you recognize that name, but I'll get back to him in a moment. This was a series of shitpost videos depicting Bonnie, or Bonzi, terrorizing the night guard nicknamed Extend Dong and saying some ridiculous shit. It's about the same humor you'd see in games like Day Shift at Freddy's or Five Nights at Buck Boys, so pretty on par for the time it was released, that being around 2015. Now, I briefly mentioned the creator of this series, Nixon, and if you're a part of the FNAF community at all, you know he's the creator of many different well-made and well-liked fan games and fan series or however you say that. Those Nuts at Fredbear's, Those Nuts at Rachel's, and his most popular, The Drug Creation. It's crazy to think 9 years ago he was making these goofy Source filmmaker shitposts alongside some decently well-made games from time to time, to now being a part of the Fanverse initiative and creating some pretty insane-looking things for today's standards. When doing my initial research, I found a playlist of these videos by Nixon himself, meaning these videos were not deleted, just unlisted. Fortunately, there were re-uploads of the series by many people online, including compilations and reactions to it, so it was never lost for long. On May 19th, 2024, YouTuber Bizzo, my bad if I said that wrong, uploaded a video detailing her discovery of 2 lost songs originating from the minigames in FNAF 3. Those songs being the ones used in Mangl's Quest and Chica's Party. Though in her original video about these lost songs, finding them seemed to be a pretty dead end, coming up with no matches from her searches, receiving no responses from the people she contacted, and the only leads coming from the depths of YouTube comments. 6 months later, though, she posted another video surrounding this search, where she stated that only 3 days after the original upload, a user by the name of Meeps Wonder had actually found the original song, being titled The Fox Hunter's Gallop by Mariam, though the origins of Chica's Party music has yet to be found. In this follow-up video, multiple different websites with the song listed were brought to light, many of those sites listing the song with the name Berry Dance. This is all the information we have so far. Obviously, I left out a few minor details, so if this is interesting to you at all, I would recommend checking out our video on it below. But to this day, one song is now found video, while the other one is almost completely lost. This title is pretty self-explanatory. Fun Times at Homer's is a decently popular FNAF fan game centered around, obviously, The Simpsons. Though the game doesn't look bad at all, dare I say, I enjoy the style and how they were trying to replicate the style of older Simpsons episodes. That's not what I'm here to talk about, unfortunately. Before the release of Fun Times at Homer's 3, a teaser by the developer of the game was posted a game tool containing something along the lines of "Dang N-word." A couple months later, people started mass reporting it, to which the page of the creator was taken down. In response to this, I'm just gonna sum it up. He admits to doing so and says that people had no issue with it for months, and the people who had reported it and taken it down were quote-unquote spreading it without context and possibly jealous. So a bit interesting, but there's more. A user on GameJolt responded to this saying, "I don't think you should be saying the N-word, even if it's a joke." To which the creator replied, "Again, I just casually said it since I felt on Twitter people wouldn't go crazy. So it's not even a joke use of it, it's just a scenario where I get dirt on me because people who try to cancel me once a month can't stand someone who aren't as miserable as they are." Okay, I'm gonna be honest, I don't think it's because they're miserable people. It might be the casual use and omission of using the N-word, and I'm not sure what context would make this better, though I obviously don't have the original teaser image. For now, the N-word in Final Fantasy 3 teaser is completely lost, though this is one of the ones I have more hope for coming up, depending on if people even care enough to find this. Moral of the story, if you're not black, fucking don't say the N-word, I don't know. We are just over halfway through now, and if you're still watching, thank you. It absolutely means the world to me. If you want to see more videos like this, or just FNAF-related content in general, you can always turn on notifications. I'm always working on videos. Here's a little hint at what the next one is, just because you made it this far. Now let's keep going. Five Nights at Freddy's Settings is a video that was posted to YouTube by the user FDT. This video is the very first FNAF ransomware video to surface online. And if you've been around the FNAF community in the past year, you know how big the ransomware genre is, especially in FNAF. When this video was uploaded, it was taken down shortly after by YouTube themselves for an unknown reason, though it wasn't lost for very long, as the original uploader would upload the video to archive.org, as well as a video to YouTube announcing so, in a very parody-ish style. This is mainly on the list because I think it's interesting how a video that influenced an entire genre on FNAF videos was just simply wiped off the platform by YouTube for seemingly no reason. And if the creator of the video didn't come out and post it himself, it's possible that this video would still be lost. Though thankfully we do have this video, and it's about what you'd expect from a FNAF ransomware video. In 2015, someone known as Losada Pelotti uploaded a game to the Apple App Store called Five Nights at Freddy's 4. It had the same description as FNAF 3 did, and tons of positive reviews, those probably being from bots. Considering this was released well before the actual FNAF 4 was, obviously it wasn't the same FNAF 4 we know now. The game used fan art of the original FNAF cover, and one of the preview images showed the sniper from Team Fortress 2 inside the FNAF 1 office, though it only gets weirder from there. Upon downloading the game and opening it, the loading screen would be an upside-down version of one of the FNAF 2 teasers, and the title screen showed some sort of FNAF My Little Pony crossover. Very excited to see what this game's about. Upon pressing play, it would give you a set of seemingly random questions to answer, a lot of them making no sense, both the questions and the answers. Supposedly though, pressing anything but yes won't actually do anything. After these questions, the screen says, "How about a sword game?" Ask, before sending you to a 2D side-scrolling platformer game with some vague FNAF theme. I'd imagine if ChatGPT had no idea FNAF was a horror game and you asked it to make a sequel to FNAF, this is probably what you get. Afterwards, the game would crash and send you back to the home screen. Other than that, there is no information on this game, no download links, nothing. So I'd say that qualifies as lost media.
You know Harbor Freight for affordability, but durability goes right along with it. You see, we test, and then we test again. Now, it's time for you.
This game, no download links, nothing. So I'd say that qualifies as lost media. Fazbear's Collection 2 was a FNAF VHS video uploaded on January 31st, 2021 by a user named 12man_OP. The same day it was released, it was taken down off YouTube following the whole Swimpus McGrimpus drama that happened. I'm not going to go over that, but TLDR, minors. But in the midst of this, Fazbear's Collection 2 was found to have an actual photo of a dead animal in the video around the 32-minute mark. For a short amount of time, a censored version of this video would be re-uploaded to his channel, though the very next day, his entire channel would be taken down. It wasn't by YouTube, though. It was by his brother, apparently. From this point on, I can't verify how accurate the story is, so keep that in mind. Apparently, his brother took down his YouTube channel, following even more controversy, this time inside of his Discord server, where, once again, his brother was on his account and apparently began to spread rumors that 12man Oscar had a I know
Okay,
assault isn't a
I'm
very
so sorry.
funny thing, and these
My brother's in my room.
Probably why the trailer was taken down.
So I was muted. I never made you a mod. You keep asking. You've never been a mod in my chat. I've explained many times at this point. I do not make random people in my chat mods. If I know you personally, I will mod you, but I don't know you personally. You're just a viewer of mine. I hope that I offend you. It's just a viewer of mine. I do not know you
Here we are.
personally, so I don't know if you're
This is where some of
responsible
the
enough.
most interesting and obscure pieces of lost media surrounding the FNAF series and community.
So I don't
If you've been
come out
enjoying so
making
far,
you a mod
please
because I
subscribe.
don't
I'm always
know
working on new
you
videos for you. This is an
personally.
easy way to show your support and be notified of the next upload. Without further ado, Tier 6, the final tier. If you don't know who Teddy Bear 87 or Zombie Wars is a TR, don't worry, because I have next to no fucking clue either. I can't find Teddy Bear 87's channel anymore, but to summarize to the best of my ability, they were both decently prominent creators around the release and initial blow-up of FNAF, making the type of videos you'd expect from FNAF YouTubers 10 years ago. Gameplay videos, theories, and music, pretty much anything. They apparently used footage of the game by Teddy Bear 87 without their permission, which Teddy Bear 87 was very vocally upset about, regardless of the fact that credit was given. They would send fans of theirs to harass Zombie Wars by spreading fake rumors and making multiple alt accounts to stalk and harass them. Unfortunately, that is really all the details I have about the situation. There aren't any screenshots that I can find about this specific instance besides this one of a false copyright strike that Teddy Bear 87 sent to Zombie Wars. Other than that, I would consider this on the verge of lost and partially found, though I think lost would be a more fitting place. This entry stems from a Reddit post that I had seen, but upon coming back to it to write this video, it was almost entirely gone. Thankfully, there is a Wayback Machine capture of what the Reddit post said. I'll give you a quick summary. The user was looking back at some old comments for nostalgia and decided to look for one specific that they had remembered quite vividly. It was an idea of how the animatronics became withered, and some of the key details that they had mentioned were Freddy becoming depressed because he couldn't find the killer, and through a series of events, he ended up ripping off Bonnie's face while Chica tried to stop him, which is also how she got hurt. Some other details were that the comic was fairly well drawn, and that they had originally seen it from a YouTube video that was nothing more than a slideshow of the pages with some sad music over it. Someone commented under the post suggesting that it could be the comic title Out with the Old. Though skimming through this comic, I can see that there are some pretty big similarities that could lead someone into thinking this is the comic they were thinking of. Obviously, it has the staple animatronics beating each other, turning them into the withered animatronics, but there was also some big details that didn't quite match up, such as Freddy getting depressed over not being able to find the killer. Though in the story, Freddy and Toy Freddy are talking about the murders, it turns into more of a heated conversation between them than a sad one. And it isn't Freddy that rips off Bonnie's face, it's Toy Chica. These differences put me on the fence on whether it is the comment that the poster is talking about or not, but since the post has been taken down and the poster never clarified if it was or not, we still don't ever know. For now, I'm leaving this as lost, though we have potential for what it might be. It is still entirely possible that there is a different comic with similar ideas just executed in a different way. The Tearing was a young adult horror book written by Scott Cawthon under the pseudonym Michael Parsons back in 2013, a year before the release of Five Nights at Freddy's. What makes this so desirable for Lost Media fans is that this was the first known horror project made by Scott prior to FNAF, as well as the synopsis has references to missing and murdered children at an orphanage, a slight resemblance to the story of Five Nights at Freddy's minus the location. For the copyright of The Tearing, you can see that under authorship on application, it says Michael Parsons, pseudonym of Scott Cawthon. Though there aren't any direct links and an image like this could easily be fake, Scott himself, 9 years back, confirmed on a thread about The Tearing that he had written stories and published them under different names, which confirms that this is a real book. As for the book itself, it's completely lost. Would you look at that? We got another update. Since I wrote this video a couple months ago, the book has actually been partially found, uploaded on some random website. On here, though, the synopsis gives us some interesting information about the story. The children in the story are not fiction, but are based on the real-life children whose lives are literally torn apart each day. The readers come to know these children and suffer with them, confronting the reader with the gruesome reality and horror of abortion. So, yeah, take that as you will. I just wanted to give an update as now it's partially found. 10 Scary Nights is the second earliest known FNAF fan game, right after Creepypasta Castle, which I mentioned in the tier before. In this game, you have a laptop in front of you where you can monitor any intruders that enter your house. If the intruders enter your house and make their way to you, you can close the door next to you to keep them out. Your goal is to keep them out of your room for 2 minutes until the security system alerts the cops. Now you might be realizing this isn't typically what you'd expect from a FNAF fan game, and you're right. But I think the coincidence in the mechanics and the timing of the release of this game are pretty clear giveaways that this is a FNAF fan game. This game was released sometime before late October, which is quite a bit earlier than some fan games people think are the first, like Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Massacre in November of 2014 and Five Nights at Treasure Island in December of 2014. This game is completely lost. There are only 2 mentions of it on the internet that I have ever been able to find. One being this comment on a Reddit post asking for fan game suggestions, and a video on this channel Little Miss Fairy Tale, which is just a let's play of the game which shows us how the game looks and how the mechanics work. I hope this game gets found one day, but honestly I think there's a less than 0% chance that it ever sees the light of day again with how obscure it is. The only video of the game has under 6,000 views. One can hope though. It would be nice to try it out and see if there was a hidden to it. We made it to the end of the iceberg. That was a whole lot to cover, and I honestly had a whole lot of fun researching and writing this video. I want to say thank you to everyone who had liked or commented on the last video. The support on it was insanely overwhelming, and I can't thank you guys enough. I'm gonna keep posting as often as I can. I truly love making these types of videos, and FNAF has been something I've been into since I was a kid. It's honestly a dream to be able to make videos about it and for people to actually care enough to watch them. Even if you're new, thank you so much for watching to the end. I'm sure if you were into this video, you'll be interested in my last video where I completed every night of all 3 One Night at Flumpty's games back to back without dying a single time. Have a good rest of your day, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.
Ye VHS Tapes of Old is a channel that joined YouTube on the 14th of April 2019 under the premise of a channel meant to archive VHS footage with a particular cassette sparking a great deal of interest within the outlet. The video cassette in question is the collection of a children's cartoon from episodes 9 to 12, going by the name of Monsters from Planet Monsters. And while the name and style might initially suggest an innocuous television program aimed at children, the episodes become increasingly darker, mysterious, and disturbing with each video. And I can guarantee you, there is more than it meets the eye to this series. Don't let its simplistic nature at first fool you the same way it fooled me the first time. With this video, I'm going to attempt to analyze and dissect what will potentially be one of the greatest and yet most underrated ARGs
I'm
of
just
all
trying to
time
figure
that for
something
some
out.
reason managed to go under everyone's radar for more than 4 years. With this being said, I'm going to separate this video into 2 parts. The first part is going to be dedicated to the viewing
Who's
of
not
the 9
saying
videos
I
presented
like?
on the channel so far.
Jar
We're going to
Jar.
take a look at each and every separate video, discussing our findings gradually as they appear, while the second part of the video will be dedicated to a more in-depth analysis of certain elements showcased in various bits and pieces within said videos. I would highly recommend for you to watch this series on your own first if you haven't before watching this video. It will take you around 45 minutes, and it's an experience I totally recommend. You can come back after that to this video and we can rewatch the episodes together, this time with my own personal input and analysis of each episode. And now, let's begin. The first episode starts rather normally. We are giving a perspective of the channel's
We have surprise. Losing on my field. Nice. I must get off my chest. Can you hear it? 'Cause the silence is secure. There's so much left to get and go. There.
Okay.
I posted a poll on my community tab on who I should draw.
Uploader unboxing one of the VHS tapes from his collection, Monsters from Planet Monstrous. We can already notice some unusual details regarding this tape right off the bat. Starting with a handwritten note on the top left corner of the tape reading, Trinity is 81. The box and the tape itself provide other interesting pieces of information. Unfortunately, due to the quality of the video uploaded, they are rather hard to read, but they will be available later on in the series on a much higher quality. So don't make my mistake and squint your eyes too hard attempting to read them. We'll go over them later. The first tape starts us off in the middle of a show allegedly meant for children, created through stop-motion animation, where right off the bat we can observe some of the main characters of the series: a girl, a boy, and a wizard. Their names will be revealed later on.
Little one. Ow.
The episode shows the boy apparently ill, playing bad. The wizard is proposing the possibility of running various tests in an attempt to find a cure for whatever might be plaguing the boy. But the problem is, the tests will take time, and they're running out of it. The best solution for this dilemma will be for the boy to ingest a specific slice of cake, which we are not offered any details on, as the tape seems to be heavily damaged or corrupted, and thus the tape ends playing and the first episode ends. Episode 2 appears to be a direct continuation of the first episode, as the two children find themselves on an island made out of candy and cake. The children meet up with a monster made out of sweets with cherries for eyes as they begin bargaining for a piece of its cake, likely the cure for the ailment affecting the boy. But the monster refuses, threatening the two children instead, beginning to chase after them.
This is the option. This is the character option. Yeah, no.
With that, the episode
I don't
ends,
have
beginning a new segment
on
showcasing
there.
various television
And I
ads
don't like drawing him
for
that
other
much
shows
because I always
and
have to change
programs.
his hair.
Now, for anyone familiar with VHS
I like
technology,
to.
this wooden
I
stripe
really
has
like to
two
change
Anyone who used to record
Rick's hair a
television
lot.
programs through VHS
So,
will
I
sometimes
don't draw
leave the
him off.
recording going through the ad breaks,
I like it
which
in
will
color.
result in segmented movies or cartoons separated by various
But I mostly
advertisement
like drawing him in a
interruptions.
suit.
I know this out of experience because I have a
Because I
VHS
have those
television
eyes.
as well, but this already strikes me as an odd element. The box that we saw in the first episode seems to be directly correlated to the TV show. Why would the producers distribute and sell their own TV series along the ads being ran on the television? This is something that the uploader also remarks in the video's description. What's odd is that this tape seems to contain commercial breaks, as if they were recorded off the TV. The cassette looks like official merchandise, with box art and labels and everything, but apparently
I've
it's a
drawn
taped
them before.
broadcast. The ads
I
are
haven't
for
drawn them.
chosen
I've
products,
drawn them, but I haven't
services
drawn
that
them
I mostly
recently.
can't find any details about anywhere on the net, much like the show itself. In some cases, I can't even form a clue as to what's being advertised. Either way, the first ad that we see is one for another show,
I'll say
likely
Harley,
aimed at
because
children as well.
I got more Harley than I do Ivy.
A cartoon
I like
featuring
three
a
things for Harley
robots
Quinn. I
fighting
like one
other
thing for
robots.
Ivy.
The next ad features a sock puppet of a camel smoking a cigar, promoting a business called Boris Haberdashery, open from Monday to Thursdays from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., along with an address. This doesn't really tell us that much, but if we go back for a moment and pause the video right here, we can notice the room where the ad was filmed, reflected in the camel's sunglasses, which from now I'm going to refer to as Boris. On the right lens, we can notice something resembling an old camera, while on the left, we can notice various computer monitors reading a rather unintelligible text. The only clearly visible detail in this scene is the theta symbol from the Greek alphabet. Keep this one in mind, as theta will become a very relevant detail later on in the series. Now, another ad starts, this time for a new model of a car. Everything seems normal within this particular ad, except in the part where it's mentioned that the car features a dayside engine. Dayside is a word used in order to refer to the side of the planet that is facing its primary star, essentially the part of the planet where it's currently day. So, with this knowledge in mind, the following question pops up. What is a dayside engine? Is it an engine that can only function during the day? Without further explanation, the ad ends, and what is likely to be the car's manufacturing company's logo appears on the screen. Kia. Now, Kia is a real
Oh, you
car brand.
can read
But
Pitt.
Kia's logo, first of all, is
hope
different,
you're not.
and
You're
the
like-
name is spelled with an
You
I,
can read
not with
Pitt
a
on who
Y.
you want.
This might be our first indication that these tapes might
But you
belong to
can
an alternate
repick
reality,
if you want,
different
if
from
you
ours.
Bruce Wayne
The
draw or
next
not.
ad features two
can
models of an
repick.
object on a
I don't
simple
care.
background, with text reading Hot Dog Monarch and the U.S. Bioproduct Safety Department want you to know about the mandatory recall of the Isekai-mun Iseball toy. Corruption reported. But the audio seems to heavily differ from the text presented.
Thank you.
You went
Okay.
want you to know about
What's he gonna I am doing something real quick. I have to go on my old drawing app.
With the narrator
And
specifically saying
a
the
lot of
mandatory
things
recall
first.
of any children watching this. Judging by this, it seems that the children themselves are the one being recalled, not the product. A final text reading, "We didn't make up the sick time you did," is shown at the end, along with a second text reading points and what appears to be a quote. The term isekai is a term used to describe a genre of anime or manga in Japan where the plot revolves around the main character ending up in a different reality. This, along with the ad heavily resembling the Burger King Pokeball Recall PSA from the year 2000, heavily enforces once again the idea of these states belonging to an alternate reality, something that will be confirmed later on in the series. The next program is perhaps the most confusing so far, especially without context. It serves as part of the solution for this ARG central puzzle, but for now we are going to leave it at that, and we'll tackle it on later on the video. A variety of mathematical equations are shown over the background of a black and white lava lamp. This is our first clear introduction in the theme of duality, a theme that will become heavily recurrent throughout the series. Afterwards, a heavily corrupted ad for a brand called Nesquik is shown. Unless you've been living under a rock, I'm pretty sure you can figure out what this one is referencing. Unfortunately, at this point, the uploader informs us that his camera ran out of space and stopped recording. He informs us that since the video static corruption was so bad, we didn't miss out on much anyway, with the only relevant detail being the start of the next ad, featuring a voiceover narrating on nights when we can see Utopia, along with the image of a small bird in a cage and the big clam in the jaws of a fly trap. The tape stops afterwards. Episode 3 is where the series starts taking a far more mysterious and darker turn. Right off the bat, with the first frames of the video, throughout all of the static, we can make out the phrase, "with one of the 3 holidays, Gehenna." If you don't know what that is, Gehenna is a valley surrounding Jerusalem. Gehenna is also mentioned within the Hebrew Bible as the place where some of the kings of Judah had sacrificed their children by fire, becoming a cursed location by Jeremiah, a biblical prophet. Within rabbinic literature, Gehenna is associated with divine punishment as the destination of the wicked for the atonement of their sins, with the word Gehenna also being translated as the word
Some of
hell.
my videos are labeled not made for kids.
We are not
For
even
like 19.
second in within the 3rd episode, and we've already been offered the chance to win a trip to hell. Wondrous. Anyway, as the video continues, we are shown a commercial for a board game called Faces of Terror. The board game seems rather simple. Judging by the video, players control a variety of animal-like creatures on a board, moving them over certain spaces on the map while drawing cards that can be used as abilities. The ability shown in the commercial, Slow the Clock, instructs the player to throw a dice with its effect changing based on the dice's result. Note that using this ability seems to have the additional effect of increasing the player's corruption. I want you to keep this term in mind, as it will become rather recurrent during the series. The next program is perhaps the most cryptic one so far. A new character, which
Usually
I'm
my
referring
stream's
to
really
as
popular
Duo,
this time, so
is seen talking to the
I don't know what's
audience
going
about
on.
letters, numbers, and the
then again, it
importance
is
of their
summer.
values.
People are doing other things.
Shifting from a black to
And
white
probably get a lot, don't
once
get a lot
again
of screen time.
suggesting the recurring theme of duality, hence the nickname I gave him. At the same time, various letters are seen in the background transforming into numbers. These letters will be extremely important later on in helping us solve one of the major puzzles in the series. But for now, let's continue watching. As the camera pans out, we're offered a view from above of an 18 by 18 grid with irregularly colored squares. Once again, a very important element that will become extremely relevant down the road. The program ends and we are presented with a text reading Emensis. All futures have been written. The next commercial appears to be one for chocolate. A man is seen leaving what we can assume to be a factory and flying away, as we are presented with the product itself, Lockley White Mint, and the slogan, "You'll all be sweet." Following next is a short program called A Sermon from the Pulpit House. I will let this one play out in its entirety and then we'll discuss it.
I'm not saying my real name. Hello, Missy. This is pretty. This is pretty name. Thank you. How about two things playing in the background? I like two things playing in the background. I got a YouTube video.
So, the first detail you've probably noticed while watching this program is the apple. Is that an apple? Yeah, I actually have no idea what fruit is that. Saying that this symbol is exhausting. You might be wondering as to the meaning of that symbol, and to that I'll say yes. Me too. I want you to keep in mind that symbol because once again it will be one of the key elements within this ARG. For now, let's refer to that symbol as a crossword, because to me it resembles a sword with a cross drawn over it. I know I'm probably wrong, but for now I'll just be using that name as a placeholder. Another part that I found to be of particular interest is the lemon saying, a symbol can mean different things to different people, but who decides its true meaning? What's worth more, the creator's intention or the majority's belief? Maybe neither. While this is probably relevant for deciphering the meaning and usage of the crossword, I personally interpreted this particular sentence as a meta-commentary of the author on its own ARG. What's worth more, the author's hidden story behind the ARG, or the story that the majority of the public will create around it? Maybe neither. Either way, there's a detail here that you've probably missed when watching this for the first time, and I won't blame you, I did too. In fact, I watched this movie after many times of watching this particular episode. After the lemon finishes its speech, before leaving, 3 additional dialogue bubbles pop up for a few frames, which I will try to enhance as much as possible and leave them on the screen for you to read. For the life of me, I couldn't begin to try and tell you what the next fruit is. I've never seen anything like that, and I hope I never will. Either way, this fruit tells the viewers, in this case an intended audience of kids, that each of us holds a seed within ourselves, and that's what makes us special. Once again, this is an important detail that will become more relevant later. Boy, there sure are plenty of these details, huh? I will admit I'm not kidding when I say that I've probably rewatched each and every one of these videos at least 20 times each. And on every rewatch I find some new kind of correlation towards things that were presented in past and future episodes. The next advertisement regards a new video game called Pro Hopman's Adventure. Currently, I'm not going to go in depth about this one. It's something we'll talk about later. All I'm gonna say is that Pro Hopman's Adventure has a soundtrack that definitely slaps. Another program follows. This one is called What's in the Cards, where seemingly random cards are drawn from a deck, offering general world trivia and random facts about the universe this program derived from. The first card is not of any particular interest. I mean, if you drink coffee, maybe. The second card is especially important though. There is magic all around you, and it shares its name with a glass that the little fat kid, or whatever it's called, left behind in the human's only mirror. The version isn't magical though, maybe still a bit dangerous. I think that the little fat kid is a reference to the little boy and fat man, the two nuclear bombs that were dropped over Hiroshima and Nagasaki in World War II. If that's the case, then the glass that was left behind by the little fat kid will be trinitite, a glassy residue left on the desert floor after the Trinity nuclear bomb test. I'm not entirely sure whether trinitite was left behind after Hiroshima and Nagasaki was wrong, but I couldn't find any other logical association between the words glass left behind and the little fat kid. Keep in mind, we are essentially working with assumptions and conjecture here. The card also details that our version of trinitite will still be a bit dangerous, which would make sense for what essentially will be nuclear residue. This card is of particular interest to us. It details that each phase draws from a different one of the 10 power sources, and only one can be acted at once. But the crossword plus symbol will draw from all of the sources at the same time. I'm not entirely sure whether this has any connection with the first advertisement we saw, the one for the board game Faces of Terror, but the possibility is there. We're also exposed to the existence of another superior symbol than crossword, crossword plus, which according to this card seems to be the strongest symbol of them all, to the point of being not only feared, but not allowed to even exist. The next program, I have no words for. I'll just let it play in its entirety and you can draw your own conclusions. Did you catch that at the end? Let me replay it for you on a higher volume. Finally, we are presented with a schedule for that particular stage of programs. 4:30, Monsters from Planet Monstrous. At 5, Wool Groaners. And at 5:30, the news. If it wasn't evident enough that this entire channel belongs to a different reality, I'd say that the news anchor with green skin and horns should be the final nail in the coffin. Either way, we're presented with a few seconds from the 10th episode of Monsters from Planet Monstrous, where the kids are in pursuit of someone called Magicus after accidentally breaking the wizard's wand. The episode ends on a cliffhanger as the two kids encounter what appears to be a cloud monster as the tape continues corrupting, finally cutting off. Episode 4 starts off with the image of a few balls rolling in what appears to be a lottery-like device. Each ball bears a letter either H or V, or horizontal or vertical, and a number. After 6 balls rolled, the lottery stops and the results are announced. It is at that moment that we are presented with perhaps the most important piece of this DRG's puzzle. An 18 by 18 grid, each square in the grid having a number allocated to it. Notice how the numbers seem to follow a specific pattern, with some numbers going into negative. This grid has the same dimensions as the one we've seen in episode 3, the one where Duel was standing on. Afterwards, we see that certain letters are assigned to a space on the grid. We'll come back to this grid in the second part of the video, the one where we end up analyzing everything in greater detail in an attempt to piece most of the puzzle together. It's revealed to us that the host of this lottery is a green head floating midair. Once again, I want you to keep in mind the color green, as in this universe it's a general indication of magic. You'll see this color recurring plenty of times whenever magic is involved. The name of the show is revealed along with the slogan, Duel Lotto. Some prizes are worth the gamble. Once again, the concept of duality is mentioned. Following next is perhaps one of the most cryptic puzzles in the ARG. 8 sentences are displayed on screen, but they are impossible to understand, at least at first. Notice how the word Roa is mentioned in each sentence. The image of what appears to be a blue dinosaur or a dragon in what appears to be a snowy forest is displayed, with another encrypted message at the bottom. Then what appears to be an intro to Channel 9 appears. I'm going to let this one play out for you to view. The ending of the intro is rather interesting, celebrating over 9,990 years of television. I know I'm starting to sound repetitive, but keep in mind the number 999. It's a rather important and recurring one through the series, and as we've seen so far, numbers seem to hold a great deal of significance within this ARG. The titular show Monsters from Planet Monsters resumes, and we see the continuations from the previous episode. The two kids are chasing a star-shaped monster in the middle of the forest, asking for the monster to come back with them.
Okay.
The cassette drops as usual, cutting us off into the next scene, where we see the two kids confronting a variety of monsters, now armed with what appears to be a sword and a hammer. Once again, the film runs, but now as it resumes, we are presented with a point of view that's interesting detail.
I can't stay alive for long, so I'm done with my sketch, so I'm going to be getting going. Guys, have a good day or
The
night.
cassette appears